What do you think was the biggest hindrance to you achieving success? And do you feel like it's a bit of a disappointment or a regret that you weren't able to fully move the company into this?
That's a very good question, because with strategy, transformational in nature, it comes in two parts of the equation.
Welcome back to another episode of Financially Incorrect. I am your host, Barak, and yes, we are still in Dar in Tanzania at FNB House on the 3rd floor. So if you are in Dar and you'd like to learn about trading, please come down here, meet with the FXPesa team at the Education Center. They will train you, they will give you all of the tips, they'll tell you the things to look out for, they'll help you set up an account, and you can do some demo trading before you set up a live account and go out and trade into the global market and make a bit more money. You can diversify your investments through FXPesa. Be sure to check out all the links in the description box. And of course, if you still are in Nairobi or anywhere in the world, anywhere in Africa, you can access all FXPesa benefits from online classes to access to the global markets financially in all of the links in the description box. So today we have with me Bakari Machumu, who is a strategy consultant. He's just setting up a new firm where he's going to be focusing on strategy, communication, and management, especially for young entrepreneurs and SMEs. And he's here on Financially Incorrect to tell us his money journey and tell us a bit about what it looks like to make money in Tanzania. Welcome to Financially Incorrect.
Asante sana, karibu Dar es Salaam.
Thank you. Today, I must admit, has been a lot hotter than yesterday. You know, I'd been told how hot Dar is going to be, so I'd been preparing myself because I don't like the heat at all. But yesterday was doable. In fact, Christian, the videographer who's here with us today, we were walking and we're like, oh, this works. But then today, today it's been really hot. How do you guys wear suits in this heat?
They say gentleman does not care about weather.
Yeah. You just persevere.
So sometimes you get used to it, but of course you wear it. You be at a room where there's AC. You get into a car, but you can't walk on the streets with your suits. It's unbearable.
Yeah. Why not just change do you feel like the corporate culture then, maybe in Dar specifically, should just change in that, people should be allowed to wear less formal attires to make it work? Although I have heard about, the different qualities of suits, and depending on the thread count, you can have like a really light material that then allows you to sort of just, be free.
I think you're struggling with the fact that you've been here how many days?
It's 2 days.
2 days. After a month, 6, you get used to it.
Really?
Yeah. So it shouldn't get into the level where you start looking at do we need to tone down the way we...
The dressing.
But as you said, the options will come with the kind of fabric you use. Somewhere they are very friendly, even in the heat.
Yeah, I think I just struggle with any sort of heat. So even for us in our hot season, from December to February, it's a struggle for me. So, I think I'm an exception to the rule. Anyway, okay, so maybe just to get a bit more about, or to get into your financial journey and your money story, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your work, what you've done so far in Tanzania, and I gather that you took an early retirement as well, and maybe a bit of context as to why you did that.
Yeah, so it's a long story, but I'll keep it short, try as much as possible to do that. So I finished college. I studied agriculture at Sorbonne University of Agriculture. Then I was aiming to become a farm manager. But then economic hardship here and there, and then the government was getting into these austerity measures, and jobs were not easy to come with. So normally we'll finish college and then you get to be posted somewhere to start working. So I got into journalism by accident. And the idea then was I'll get into journalism, I'll create a network which will allow me to go to the industry I've studied for. But then 27 years later, I retired within the media and the communication space. Yes. And no regret.
Really?
No regrets. So the journey has been, when you relate it with the money, my money have been making it more from working as a journalist, as an editor, as an executive in the media house, and earning salary. A few consultants here and there will give you a few cents. But in general terms, I wouldn't say I've gotten into heavy investment outside maybe my line of work. But of course, from the beginning, there were opportunities when I was starting up as a correspondent, where for the first time Tanzania introduced this collective investment scheme. And the UTT, we call it Unity Trust of Tanzania. So this was the company which was formed by the government, and it allowed Tanzanians or residents to purchase, to invest, and they will invest on your behalf. You earn your returns. So that was my first initial investment, and I came across this because I was a business reporter. So you go do interviews, and then you see this thing is being launched, you get to understand it. By then I did not have enough money, so I went to a bank.
How much money did it require you to put into the...
One unit was going at, because it was an IPO, so one unit was going at about 100 shillings.
100 Tanzanian shillings?
100 Tanzanian shillings.
Okay.
So there was a bank which saw an opportunity, and Amana Bank, I think, they were lending people who wanted to invest. So you get a loan, and after some time, they cut their principal, the loan, and the remainder becomes yours. So that's how I got into investing. And from there, every IPO which was coming through, I will put up money. And so I left them. After some time, you come to realize that it has been generating itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So those were the
that you were looking at early on. What's in the amount that you took the loan for? How much did you take the loan for, and how much did you actually invest? And do you remember what the percentage of return was?
Yeah, I think I took a loan of about 5 million, and because it was an initial public offering, so by the time they started the trading, the value, of course, went up, and I was supposed to pay the 5 million principal back. And by the time I was returning that loan, servicing that loan, the value had gone to 7.5.
So you had made 2.5 million on it.
So 2.5 remained for
a year. In what time frame? How long did it take to get to 2.5?
About a year.
About a year. That's how we sit and figure out if I can calculate what percentage that is. Is money, do people talk about money easily in Tanzania, or what you've experienced as you've grown up in Tanzania? Do people talk about money easily, about what they're earning, where they're spending their money? Is it easy information for you to come by?
Yeah. People talk about money a lot, and they talk about the enthusiasm of having more money. Maybe what we don't talk much about is how to get that money and get it sustainably and use it sustainably. So it's sometimes it's you're looking for doing something with the money coming as a priority, as opposed to money being the result. So for you to make money sustainably, you ought to be solving a certain problem.
Yes.
The problem has to be bigger enough, and there's need for solution. And once you solve that solution, you make money without kamwende in the long run. So the conversation is always how we want to make money, but it doesn't get beyond on the how and how to do it sustainably.
Okay. So you found that, or in your experience, people easily, for example, talk about their salaries and what they're making. That's not information that is...
They would know, go to the level of revealing the exact the amounts, but one would say they feel they are comfortable.
Okay.
And when they are not comfortable, of course, you'll see that, yeah.
So, for example, do you know how much, as you were growing up in your parents' households, do you know how much your parents were making?
I never knew how much my parents. All I used to see was when things are good, you see what you want is available. You see extra treatments. You know things are working. And I remember growing up, I grew up in Mwadui in Shinyanga, where there's this diamond, Williamson Diamonds Limited. So I grew up there. And after the Tanzania-Uganda war, things became very, very tough. And then when I went to secondary school, coming back, you'll find that things are a little tight. And the measure of seeing whether things are good, my mother used to sell some groceries and what have you. You'll see, if you see that shelf fully stocked, you know things are good. When you find it, you know things are tough.
Yeah.
So
So that's what it was like in your household.
yeah.
Okay. Did you have any other siblings?
Yeah. 6. I'm the firstborn.
Oh, you're the firstborn of 6. Okay.
Of 7.
Of 7. Okay. Oh, yes. Of course, 6 plus 1, 7. Okay. So your parents never had any direct conversation with you about money in any way, sort of form. It was just sort of what you perceived and what you saw.
Yeah. Not directly, but on the money utilization. On the need to be mindful of.
So what do you think then what do you think you picked up from that, even because of course we learn innately, we learn inadvertently, picked up from your parents, even though they didn't speak to you directly about money?
I think I picked from my father. I picked the need to be, to uphold integrity. My father, they used to call him Mzee wa Sheria, Swahili, a man of principle. So he taught me, I think, the need to, whatever you do it to the best of your ability, and actually hard work will pay you. And so he used to push me on that. From my mother had this entrepreneurial trade. She would trade a few things, and I remember when I was in primary school, she used to do mandazi, and before you go to school, you'll go sell, and then they'll come collect the remainder, the money. They go back them home, and then you go to classes. Yeah, so that entrepreneurial skills and ability from her, also the way she was trying to support my father, not just sitting at home. So that teaches you that things will not just drop as manna. So you have to work for it. And with time, when I started earning my own money, you become mindful of your spend.
Okay. Do you feel like, I guess maybe I'll ask a different question. When do money causes, or money creates different classes? We have the middle class. When did you get conscious about the fact that there are different, or people live differently in the world as a result of the money that they're making?
No, you could see. Again, I'll cite where I grew up in Mwadui. Mwadui used to be a mining company, which was run by the Beers. So it was a community where classes are well demarcated. So if you are a manager, you live in posh areas, used to call it Uzunguni. If you are middle level, it is Windini, where mostly the first one, most whites were the managers then. So they live in those areas. And then Asian communities under the colonial days, they were classified that. But after independence, then it's mostly Tanzanians, but still now it is classified based on your level of grade at a place of work. So you'll see the Uzunguni Windini, and then you have other several layers to the rest. So we grew up seeing that kind of classification, and they'll get to know your status and the way you allows you to enjoy to this level. You have even recreational clubs classified for Uzunguni, Windini, and what have you. So I grew up knowing that you have those layers. And
Did that ever, did you get inspiration from that in any way, sort of form, where you said, you know what, I want to be at the Uzunguni level and I want to have that kind of money so I can enjoy these privileges that you know, the people at that level have?
Yeah, so at that level, not real, not that I was envying it so much, because I felt like getting enough. It was enough for me. So mine was, maybe my own concern was when we were struggling as a family, where how do I get to help my mother and father and pull my 6 siblings, and that's what that the burden of being the firstborn. So in other words, you would say that yes, it was troubling me that how do we get to be at that level?
Okay. So do you then pursue anything to try and make money from at a teenage level, or as soon as you can? Do you pursue anything entrepreneurial early on in your?
No, I didn't. I did it. Apart from helping my mother.
I was just helping her out at the shop or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So when do you first make any sort of money for yourself consciously, whether it is pocket money, whether it is from doing chores, whether it was, when do you first make money?
Yeah, I think I made my first money when I was in secondary school. I used to be part of this brass band.
Okay.
For Mwadui, and it was bringing together pupils or students from the schools at Mwadui. And this brass band will be hired to go perform duties at the regional level in Shinyanga. And once you go there, you are given some allowances. So that's where I started making my own money, and I could actually buy
Things for yourself.
Things for myself. That's
okay. Do you remember how much the allowances were and what you did with the money?
No, I didn't. No, I don't remember. It was too little just to keep you, but then you save it, and I think I remember buying shirts and a few gifts for my young sister and brothers.
Okay. All right. So what's the next thing that happens in your money journey? Do you go to university and study what you study for the pursuit of money, or was it for the love of the subject matter? Did you like agriculture that much?
No. Actually, it's interesting. When I finished A-level, I used to admire one of my auntie. She was working at, she was a banker, and I would see when I visited a place dressed neatly. You go visit at the bank, you see it's neat, people are dressed smart, sharp. So and by then they were getting to hire people, recruit people from high school. Once you finish your high school, you get to the bank, and then they'll take you into their system when you'll be trained. So I actually did not apply for university, hoping to get into that National Microfinance Bank. And then when I finished, somewhere, something happened, they stopped.
They stopped the program.
So I had a whole year of staying idle, because all my colleagues, they've gone to college and what have you. So I used that opportunity. I went to my uncle who was living in some place called Msoma. I went to do some part-time work at a company, a textile company called Mutex. There's a quality controller. So I would go work in the lab, go check the production, and they do the reports on whether everything is. So I started earning money, and after that, The moment the university started also, calling for applications, I applied, and having learned the lessons, the first university that admitted me, I went for it. So when I was level, I was aspiring to be a pilot, then A-level banker. Then I ended up studying agriculture.
Really had nothing to do with anything per se. It was just that's what they called you for. Okay. And when you're working at the textile firm as a quality surveyor, how much did they pay you at that time? Do you remember what the payment was?
Nah.
All right. So you get through university. Do you have to work in university to be able to meet your food bills and things like that, or are your parents supporting you at that time?
No, at that time now, the university, it is when the government introduced, and then after that, there was this policy called the cost sharing. I was introduced, so a whole institution was set up to give loans to students. So you will apply for loan, you get that loan, and then believing that after you graduate, you'll return that, you'll pay that. And that's what happened, yeah.
Okay, so you take a loan, and the loan, do you take it every year or do you take it for the 4 years?
They give it.
They keep adding.
Yeah.
Okay. So how much if you look at it cumulatively over the 4 years, 3 or 4 years that you do your degree, how much money would you say that the loan would be?
Then I think it was in a range of not more than 3 to 5 million. Not more than.
Okay, over that 4-year period. Okay. And how long would you, when you leave, what are the payment terms? How long do you have to pay it back?
Yeah, I think at the beginning they didn't have a well-structured way of, so things, people disappeared. But as you know, government has a way of records, and with time there was a massive campaign for people to repay, and through employers, then they'll get to know you have a staff. This is how they are outstanding, and you get into a payment schedule, and you are deducted from your salary every month, and
And sorry, with the repayment, do you start repaying? Let's say you graduate today. Do you start repaying on Monday?
No.
Or do you start repaying once you get a job?
Ideally, once you get
a job is when you start repaying it. Okay, all right. So I know you talked about, even when we started the podcast, that you didn't quite get a job in the agriculture space immediately. So how long did it take you before you landed in media, and what's the event that happened that landed you in media?
Yeah, so what landed me in media was, again, a colleague of mine. She was working with Business Time. She had started doing journalism at Business Time. Business Time was a business and a financial weekly in Tanzania then. So she came with this idea that, why don't you try journalism? So I said, why do you think I can fit into journalism? Good. She said, back in college, the university, you used to put out these promotion for weekends, where to go. And the way you write them suggested that you have a mastery of language. So I was the Minister for Sports and Entertainment at the university. And so I will always mobilize people to go enjoy it. So that's the connection, what she saw, which I had not seen. And I heeded her advice and went to Business Times and started as a trainee journalist, believing that I'll get to connect with people in the agricultural field and move on. Okay. But with time, I found it more enjoyable, you get to new challenges every day. Mm-hmm. And I think later in life I came to realize that I think I get bored to doing routine things.
Yeah.
So the dynamism of journalism
allowed you to do different things.
Okay. Yeah.
When you think back to when you started working, did you ever envision your retirement? Did you ever envision the day that you would stop working?
When I started, but when I got to the level of being an editor.
And how many years was that?
Okay, I started 1998, trainee journalist. By 2002, risen to being features editor for the Business Times. Then 2004, I left Business Times and joined the Citizen newspaper and Mwananchi Communications Limited, which is a subsidiary of National Media Group. So National Media Group had bought some controlling stake at Mwananchi, and they launched the Citizen in 2004. So I joined as the first business editor. So from that level of the editor, business editor, and 2 years later, I was promoted to become managing editor of the newspaper. It's when it started dawning on me that the pace at which you are running a daily paper is so, draining, so draining. Yes. You are constantly on adrenaline. You put a good paper today, after a few hours, you have to put another. And then the balancing of different forces become very, very. So the wake-up call came from one day. I am talking to a sub-editor. This sub-editor was once a senior editor, but he had retired. He had gotten to the level of being chief sub-editor, managing editor, and then retired, but you still have skills. So they are working at the quality control section in the newsroom. Now, this day I am looking at the paper. A page, one of the page is a lot of errors. I call Mzee, why this page so dead? And the old man tells me, I'm sorry, I wasn't feeling well. I did not look at it thoroughly. Now, at that point, I'm looking at him. What I see my father, Mzee Machumu, because he's at that age. I can't shout at him.
Yes, out of respect.
Out of respect. But I talk to him the respectful manner, but the words
strong.
Were strong. Yeah, that we can make these young people put them to account. We can push them, but we shouldn't be doing this to you. So I let him go. Said, okay, I'll try to do my best. The next day, I went back to the office. Mzee was, normally the sub-editors were coming to work around 11 a.m. At 8, Mzee is in the office. I go into my office, he followed me through. I asked him, what is wrong, Mzee? I didn't sleep yesterday. I lost sleep. What happened? My blood pressure went up, because I felt like I'm letting you down. So I realized at that particular moment that I shouldn't stay in the newsroom beyond a certain point, because he was not able to do it, not because he's not competent, but age has caught up with him. So that started, that was the beginning of me starting planning, how do I get. So I planned that, and by 45, I had actually conquered my fear. Initially, I used to hold to my job like, if I lose this job, my family will suffer. I am supporting my father now, he's retired, and I have my own family, and taking my young brother and sisters to school. So I have to make sure I don't lose this job. But with time, I think I conquered my fear by getting to the level of being confident that now I can work anywhere. I can actually do anything. I can fit anywhere. So at that point, I decided that by the time I turn 50, I should do MBA to make me structured in terms of understanding the principles of businesses and what have you. And I'm going to get out and go set something.
Right.
So as I was approaching 50, of course, I did my MBA, I finished, and I was telling my wife, one of us need to leave their job.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, I told her, once I finish, I'll leave. So she was buying time, but of course she was saying, I will leave my job because you earn more than me. So let me leave, but she was not leaving. So by the time I'm finishing, I want to leave. She pulled the first one on me. She left her job. And then I was caught in this dilemma. We can't be the two of us out of
A sustainable, regular income. Yeah. Yeah.
So I found myself staying. I gave myself 2 years. And now when you say 2 years, so I'm getting to 51. That year to 2020, the year of COVID, I was going to leave in December. And mid-year, end of June, the then managing director, Francis Nanai, also pulled the first one.
And left.
And they knew that I was about, and they left, went to pursue other things. So I was pulled back that now you have to steer this ship. So I consulted some of my mentors. I told them, Mimi, I was about to leave. They told, no, if you leave, what kind of legacy will you live with? The company is struggling. We are in the period of COVID. Friends, boss has left, and they worked closely together. So if he has left and you leave, the company sinks. That is the reputation will be. So what kind of business are you going to set up when people will be?
Yeah.
So I stayed, but I was more intentional this time. I said, I am not going to go beyond 55. So I set up 3 years after my confirmation, in May 2021, when it became official. I set 3 years strategy.
And you told them, in 3 years, I'm done.
No, I did not tell.
Oh, you didn't tell?
I was telling my colleagues, the people I was working with, that I'm not going to sit here beyond this period of time. Of course, when I left, they were like, we thought you were joking. But what we wanted to achieve, I thank God that we achieved that. And it was to bring the company to the level where to be ready for takeoff. And by the time I was getting to my 55th birthday, I made it now. And I told the chairman of the board, my group CEO, Stephen Gitagama, went to see him in Nairobi, told them. So I left, and using the pension here allows you to take an early retirement at 55 and compulsory retirement at 60 for most of the night. So early retirement gives you room to start being in your pension until you get to 60, you get your full pension.
Okay.
Before we continue with this money story, let me tell you a bit about our sponsor for today's episode, and that is Loop. If you don't have a sinking fund, and I bet a bunch of you do not, you've not been putting money aside to make sure that you can spend money freely in December. So Loop is your holiday financial partner. Through the standing orders, make sure you put aside all the money you need in January. You know, in December, they pay you early, right? So don't mistake that for a second salary. Put aside the rent, put aside the fees, put aside everything else using the Loop standing order feature to make sure that when you get into January, you are smooth, you have no financial issues, you have no financial stress, you don't have to look for loans, you don't have to take any debt to be able to cover your month in January. Loop is your financial partner for this December and for this holiday season to ensure that you can spend freely, have a good time, and make sure the money that you are spending, you've taken care of your expenses in January. Why wait? Just Loop it.
Interesting. That's a really interesting, dynamic and journey you've taken there after retirement. And I haven't had a lot of financial consideration. Was it not a factor for you? Because even when you're talking about you and your wife debating about who's going to leave, it doesn't sound like it was based on we need X amount for retirement, or it doesn't sound like you had said I need X amount for retirement.
No. Actually, that's been one of the speculation. People say, no, he's retiring because He's prepared himself well. He has properties, no. I was banking on the knowledge I've tried to build, accumulate all day. I was banking on good health. And of course, you can't just live on knowledge and good health. But again, the consideration was, as I said earlier, if you get to 55, you take an early retirement, you qualify for half pension. Yeah. You get a lump sum, and then you qualify for half a pension. And the pension I will be getting is enough to feed us. Yeah, so whatever I'll be doing will be extra. So I don't need so much money. And the amount you get when you take the retirement, so that becomes now assist me to get the capital on what I want to set up. So there was, it is calculated, it has a financial consideration, but I hadn't accumulated so much wealth to say that. Actually, by the time I was leaving, in some few weeks to go to the last time I was serving my notice, if people had looked into my account, they'll be wondering what's wrong with this.
Okay, I have a question on the possible, up until the place that you're comfortable to reveal with us and the audience, because what we also try and do is give people sort of an idea of how much money can be generated and can be made in different career paths. So I'm curious, up until the level you're comfortable, what are the different pay scales that one would expect if they worked in the media space in Tanzania? Starting at the place where you're starting as a reporter to, I guess, maybe a senior editor. What are the different pay scales one would be expecting to go through?
Pay scales? Yeah, I think writing itself is, I believe when I tend to do group mentorship, telling people that when you're working, don't treat that job, that work of yours like I am working for this company, them, me. You should actually look at it as you being part and parcel of that organization, and make every effort to build the brand of that organization. Because when you're building the brand of that organization, you are creating your personal brand. So if you're a good writer, write very well, those are the skills you live with. You can apply them anywhere. So writing skills, communication skills, presentation skills, they become things, when you master them, you wake up and you can do a lot of things with that. So I don't know if that was the aim of your question or
I'm wondering. Okay, so even if I come in as a writer, or I start as an intern, how much would I be earning? When I get promoted to the next level, how much would I be making? As an editor, as a sub-editor, how much would I be making?
Yeah. Okay. When we started, if I use the example of when we started, it won't be much.
It will still be relevant. Your experience. Yeah.
So when we started, that is 1998. The first few months, you are given 5,000 shillings for transport. Transport. So for a month, you get 20,000 shillings, and you get paid from the stories you have published.
Okay. Yeah. So the only guaranteed money was transport. Okay.
And you are given that for a certain period of time to help you stabilize, and then you are expected that you should be generating enough to manage yourself.
And how much are you being paid per story?
Per story, then it wasn't much, 1,000 then, but it was a lot then.
Okay.
Yeah. So fast forward now, by the time I left Mwananchi, if I can make reference of that, you start as a correspondent. There's a grade 4 correspondent. You will be paid per story. And the story pays from 1,000, 2,000 to 5,000. And the big story, lead story, goes up to 10,000. Features can go up to 20,000. So from correspondent level, that was the ranges. But then there's the second layer is retained correspondent. So this one will get a retainer fee. They get per month. provided you achieve 75% of your targets. And this, they get between 400,000 Tanzanian shilling to 500. And then on top of that, they earn from the stories they make. Okay. Yeah. So employed journalists will range from 600, 800 up to a million, 1.5 million, depending on the level of and the competencies of journalists. Some of them, they might earn even more than some section editors just because of the wealth of experience and what they've done up there. So the editor level ranges from, again, 1.5, 2 million up to 2.5, 3. Senior level goes up to 7, 4, 5, 7. And then senior management up that.
Okay. All right. What were your financial principles as you were earning, as you're going through these ranks and making your money? And also, I guess, you got married and had your own family and your kids. What are the financial principles that you lived by? Did you feel like you made responsible decisions? Or do you feel like you could have done better with it?
No, I think my principle have always been, I think, to keep within my means. Yeah, to keep within my means. And where something is sufficient to give me the utility I'm looking for, I will not want to be extravagant. Yeah. So I think that way I've managed to sometimes save on the little I have and have money maybe even supporting beyond family, supporting other people as well, yeah. But so someone will think like you have a lot of money, but no.
Okay. And what does keeping within your means mean? Because, of course, theoretically, it sounds very good. But what are some of the tough choices you made, for example, with your family? Were there sacrifices you had to make or things you had to tell your wife or your kids no to be able to keep within your means?
Yeah, for instance, there's peer pressure, there's public pressure. When you ascend up the ladders, people expect you to start appearing this way. People expect you to start moving to some areas. So, for instance, when I was appointed CEO of Mwananchi Communication, there was a pressure that now you need to move to Masaki area. Masaki is the posh area in Dar es Salaam. You need to find a house there. You need to buy this kind of car. I remember when I started acting as managing director of Mwananchi Communications, I had my Audi Prado and I did nothing actually to make it resemble anything close to someone who assisted the MD will have.
Yes.
So I could hear people making comments and so to me, at that particular moment, this was something to move me from point 1 to point 2. Of course, I was making arrangement. Again, with the corporate also come the pressure of it's not about you, it's the organization. You are the face of the organization. So there's a minimum level you must appear to be present yourself. So I was making arrangement for that, and yes, that happens, but I resisted the pressure of now move to a big house. Now get car that will, because at the end of the day, that's a loan I'm taking from the company, and I'm going to finance this car. But if I move to a big house, now took my early retirement, will I be now moving back to a small house? No, but the house I'm living is not small. It was enough. So I'm still there, still have the accounts, and my life is still the same. So someday.
Okay. Do you feel like, looking back, there are any poor, or not, maybe the word isn't even poor, but financial decisions that you made that right now you would have done a little different or wouldn't have made the decisions like you did then throughout your career and throughout the money that you've made?
Yeah. I think at times running to buy property, land, for instance, expecting that I will do farming, and then you leave it to the people that they will help you in running that, and then you are not ready, and you are not focused into putting more time, more resources into that one. So it's not much a lot of money, but it's money. It goes, and you feel bad, but you live with it. So those kind of, so what that taught me was, I think you need to know where exact do you want to end with this before you take this first step. At least you have the rough idea.
What's been the media disruption in Tanzania been like? Is it as prevalent as everywhere else? Circulation of newspapers dropped? Is people doing a lot of their stuff online? And is the challenge for, I guess, as running a media house, are the challenges that you're experiencing very similar to what everybody else is?
Yeah. They are similar. The reason I'm saying that is I've had opportunities of traveling, going into these international conferences where you hear people discussing similar challenges as you are facing. Even your online sessions, you get to see that the challenges are similar. Number one. Number two, having worked with a regional company, Nation Media Group, with a subsidiary in Tanzania, Mwananchi Communications. There's a subsidiary in Uganda, Monitor Publication, and of course, NMG itself, and Rwanda. So the trend you are seeing of business performance in the media sector, in the newspaper in particular, are the same. It's the same. You see copies dropping in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania. The digital disruption, especially social media, has affected Tanzania as it has affected other parts of the world. So yes, the impact is big. The difference I see is, again, I've interacted a lot with colleagues in Kenya, in Uganda, and they'll get to not see that as industries, Uganda and Kenya, they are collective coming together to try and find a solution. A lot of media houses are trying to cope with the situation in a systematic way. Tanzania, we just a bit struggling. A few media outlets have gone into the digital transformation journey in the real sense of digital transformation. Because there's digital transformation, there's what we call digitization
In
a digital transformation. We put it online and we say we are doing digital transformation. We are actually digitizing that content. Now, if you are digitizing without proper strategy to make money, how do you make money from that content? And the audience you are serving online is different from the audience you serve physical copies. So what are their preferences? If you don't ask you those questions, you will remain in that space, and it will be a struggle to move on. So the challenge has been getting into digital transformation. Our experience has been, we got into that, we started, of course, we did it followed the same journey of digitization. And then after some stage, we said, no, this is getting us nowhere. We are missing a point. So we started digital transformation. And so with digital transformation, we have a wider audience now. Now with the wider audience, the challenge now is we are not making money from this audience. So how do we get to make money now? So it takes you keep asking yourself why. Now it starts guiding you to narrowing down to relevance of what you put out. And with the relevance, we realize that now there are communities. Your program, this podcast, is about financial literacy and what have you. So you have people who are interested with financial literacy. So there's a community. So create content that resonates with that. So instead of one size fits all, now media is transforming. You are required to be relevant find the niche market, and serve that community with what they want. And it comes with its own challenges in terms of resources, resources in terms of money, yes, but also human capital, technology.
What do you think was your biggest hindrance to you achieving, I guess, what would be termed as success? Because I have heard you say that the company did struggle with the transformation. What do you think was the biggest hindrance to you achieving success? And do you feel like it's a bit of a disappointment or a regret that you weren't able to fully move the company into this?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because with strategy, transformation of any nature, it comes in two parts of the equation. You can talk of knowing your environment, situation analysis, what your objective, what you want to do. Then you come up with the strategy, tactics, action, and how you measure that. So that's a dream. There's a tool I like, they call it SOSTAC. Now, once you have all these planned, the other part of the equation is what they call 3 M's. That is money, timelines, and of course, manpower. Now, when you have a strategy, you want to deliver X, Y, Z, you need to match it with the resources which will enable you to go from the strategy formulation to strategy execution implementation. So our struggle is always, we came in very late into digital transformation when we were in bad financial position. So even small investment, relative small investment to make you move the needle faster, it's become difficult. You have to consider, do I need to spend this money here? And from going into that cycle, you end up not making huge progress, fast progress, because you are now, transformation is long term.
Yes.
The results will take time. But now you are reduced to making ends meet on daily basis. I have to pay salaries. So I have to maintain this cash flow. I can't invest and keep those resources held for 5, 6, 1 year, or 6 months, 1 year. So that was the struggle, the matching of what you want to do and making it.
Well, okay, I think that's a fair assessment and assessment of what the market is looking like and making really difficult decisions. If I'm to come back to, I guess, your financial journey, do you feel like there was sufficient investment opportunities in Tanzania, in Dar, in East Africa or Africa in the wider context for you to put your money in different places to earn more money? Do you feel like with the decisions that you made, you have made the most money you possibly could have, given the same amount of money that you earned?
No, I think now we are seeing those opportunities opening up. And so in the past, the market was still...
Like, what are the options available for you in 1996 when you started, vis-a-vis when you were retired?
Yeah, for instance, in 1998, when I was starting, the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, I don't remember when did it start, but it was still in its infancy. And it wasn't vibrant enough. There was a lot of opportunities of initial public offering then than now. So people get into that. Those were and then after some stage, then they kind of closed. I did not grow that much. Government papers, bonds and what have you, maybe we were not exposed that much to them. So if I was asked to go back and do it again, you asked me whether do I feel like what I had, I got the most I could have gotten, I would say no. But if I'm taken back today, I think I would have looked into the potentials of bonds and what have you, things which will not require me to go physically work, do business, but put it there 10, 20 years. Yeah. So I think now we are seeing more and more, and with the digital transformation with new media, we are seeing more and more awareness. And the initiative like yours, this podcast, we are seeing more and more awareness creation, people getting to understand what are the options. So those opportunities and with the economy growing fast, our economy is growing very well. And with that growth, they come the sophistication of the economy itself. More opportunities are opening up. People are becoming more liquid. You have a good number of people are graduating to middle class and what have you. So the market is ripe for people to come when they put more options for people, to invest in. Otherwise, in the past, I think the market was very small.
So what's available now? Someone who's running, let's say I was living in Dar right now and I'm earning my salary, what's available for me to put and as far as you're aware, to put my excess money? Do you have money market funds? Because I've heard you talk about bonds. I've heard you talk about the stock exchange. What else is potentially available? I've heard you talk about land.
Land, yeah. There are properties. Real estate.
And then I've had you talk about bonds now. Bonds is now a whole thing. Money market fund, do you have, what else can I think of? All of these options are available, right?
They are available.
Okay, it's just the awareness of making it.
Yeah, and maybe one thing which is not opened up and kind of stagnated, but it's coming up now, mortgage. If I was to have an opportunity of getting a loan then, and then get a mortgage, I know I'm going to work for 15, 20 years, I'll be paying, but I pay the house which eventually become mine. Yes. That becomes a very good option. So it is opening up, not as...
It's still a bit limited.
It's still limited. Okay. But those are some of the areas I think will be attractive for young professionals getting out of college and starting off. They need to be aware of and they capitalize from the vertical.
Did your travel in any way affect or impact your investment strategy, whether you're coming to Kenya or all the other countries you are going to? Did your exposure give you any insight, investment on investment strategy you could have taken? And did you make any attempt to try invest elsewhere? For example, come and open up, something in Nairobi and try and make some more money there? Yeah.
I think this is where I admire my mother and my sister who come after me. She has that entrepreneurial trait. I think I missed that. I tend to focus. If I focus on something, I think I bury myself so deep into it. And if I'm chasing two things at a time, one will suffer. So, but if you get someone to partner with that spirit, those traits, and then you kind of share the thoughts and what have you, maybe. So, I don't know. Maybe I've tried to do it single-handedly, and yeah. So the few I've tried here in Tanzania did not give me much. Yeah.
So primarily you're a salary man. It was your salary.
I was a salary.
And that was
that was it.
And that was it. Yeah.
With time now, I realized I started getting interest on the knowledge economy. So I realized that might not be good at doing this trading, what have you, but I can invest in the knowledge sector and turn that into an opportunity of offering service. So service industry is not that big in Tanzania, but in most economies you go, actually they've moved from these productive industrial sectors graduating to service sector. And as I said earlier, with the sophistication, with the need, there's much need now for people to get the soft skills. For instance, that's a knowledge part. So knowledge transfer is an area that will be,
it's a role that you will make. Okay. As we wrap up, I have a couple of questions left. One is, so I'm 32 right now, for example, and I want to know, how quickly does retirement come? You know, first to retire, when you're saying you're retiring to be about between 25 to 30 years. How quickly does it come? When I'm thinking, and this I'm thinking in context of, you know, when you're planning for your retirement, of, 20 years feels like a long way away, 30 years feels like a long way away. In practicality, how quickly does that retirement come?
It comes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It comes pretty quickly. And I think one thing I did in the past years of my career in journalism at Mwananchi was to gauge myself in a space of 3 years. So whatever I'll be doing, the company, after 3 years, I'll do self-searching, assess whatever we have been doing, and they come up with a counter strategy. So I'll say, you're 32, you can, normally they say between 3 to 5 years. So you can pace yourself maybe within a framework of that timelines, and put a goal. What do you want to do at that particular moment? So you build blocks toward your retirement. Because I said I wanted to retire, but what will be my retirement goal? So what is my retirement plan? My retirement plan is, once I retire, I want to start a new chapter this way. So what do I need to do now to start preparing to getting to that retirement time? So by that you actually kill the waiting and the being in the region of knowing what will happen. Instead, you are going piece by piece. You know, this milestone will take me here, this will take me here, this will take me, and by that time I'll be that. So 2032, that is about, if you retire at 50, about 28.
20 years, yeah. I say it'll go by fast.
They'll go fast.
What do you think, you're referencing that fast, what do you think you missed out on? Are there things that you look back now and, you know, you made decisions in your 30s, and when you were 30 or when you were 20, you thought, oh, no, I wouldn't do this, or this would go badly, or this wouldn't work. But then now you look back and think, oh, you know what, I should have done that.
No, I think I always wanted to do communication studies. Just after university, first degree, I wanted to do that. But I didn't do it. I didn't get the exact, the specific cause for that. So when I decided that I'll be leaving, again, I was looking at what do I empower myself in terms of knowledge. Yeah. So the one thing I wish I had an opportunity to do much earlier was the studies I took at Aga Khan University. It's called the Executive Masters in Media Leadership and Innovation. That was very, very instrumental in the way I was running businesses, CEO. Very practical. So it opened up opportunities for the company I was working for myself. So that is something maybe I shouldn't have zeroed myself to communication. If I don't get communication, I'm not doing any masters. So it took me too long to go for any masters because I wanted to do it
very specific.
Based on, right. So at close to 50 and past 50, plus minus 50, I rushed to do 2 masters almost. Which now so I wish I had done it earlier, looking at other field which would have,
Okay, my last question. What's a financial lesson you hope or you wish that you have passed down to your kids?
What I wish to pass to my kids is the financial discipline. Yeah. And number 2, you don't need much. You don't need so much. You need enough to sustain you and make some donation, often support to others. You don't need much, because if you are into that thinking, you'll be tempted to take shortcuts. And once you get shortcuts, money come in quick, in lump sum, and then they go out that way. And they are caught up in that vicious cycle. This bunch of money is finished. Okay, what else can I do now? Cut another corner here, and you end up being into that.
So, okay. Actually, my absolute last question, just something I remembered from what you said. I mean, so when you're telling us about where you grew up, and the different classes that existed where you grew up, whether they were Uzunguni, it sounds like from the story you've told me, in one way or another, you have gotten to that, whether you took it or not, but you definitely had the opportunity to live in the Uzunguni sector of life or privileges that you'd be able to afford at that point. Philosophically, do you feel proud about the fact that you've been able to work through to get to that point? Even though I know you said it wasn't necessary or something that you were like, yeah, this is something that I want to be able to achieve. But do you feel proud about the fact that in one way or another you've worked through the class system, so to speak, the echelons of the upper class?
Yeah. Proud, maybe I should say I feel blessed, thankful that God gave me the ability to be healthy, to grow in that process without maybe getting so much support or someone who takes you up the ladder, leaves you, you start there. When you are born, if you're born from a rich family, you start somewhere.
Yeah.
From the schools you go to, everything, you are a step ahead. So I thank God for that, because where my father started, he made big step from his family to be able to raise us in such an environment. If he looks back to his colleagues in where he was born, so he made a big step. So I'm also been able to make another step. I can only wish that my daughter also, but again, she has gotten an advantage that she has not started there. Yeah. So she started somewhere up. So I don't know if that is spoiling her but so I'm thankful that it's worked that way. But also I think the important thing is, earlier I said my father used to insist on education, insist on hard work. That he used to tell me, I used to hate farming. So I would tell him, Bakari, if you don't like farming, you better study hard. Otherwise, this is going to be your life. So that fear of Jembe being my life made me focus on that. But with time now, it's not only education that will get you to succeed. So as parents, you need to open up to how do we see our kids growing, what are the opportunities, what are they liking, and support them toward that journey. And they will come from anywhere and they get whatever God detects.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to Financially Incorrect. I've really enjoyed learning and hearing about your story, and for being open. I really, really appreciate it. And for the audience, thank you for watching. For hopefully the new Tanzania audience that we have fantastic money stories. Please go and watch them. We'll bring you more and more episodes, and we will see you next week on Financially Incorrect.